Hey everyone, I'm Isaac and welcome back to Isaac Reviews 2024. We're really doing this, are we? The 2019 Lion King remake was so popular that not only was it the highest grossing animated film of all time for 5 years, but now it's gotten a prequel? We are living in the worst timeline. Starting in the 2010s, Disney's been doing this thing you may have heard of where they take one of their beloved animated classics and turn it into a live-action remake. And with two major exceptions, all of them have either been painfully mediocre or just flat-out painful. And their remake of The Lion King definitely fits that criteria. And I guess I should make this clear before we go any further, these movies are animated. Oh, but Disney doesn't consider them animated. Well, they're entirely CGI with collectively less live action than the Lego movie. Oh, but they use live action filmmaking techniques. So did the Polar Express, and you don't see people calling that live action, now do you? Alright, so now that I've established that these are animated movies, The Lion King remake is undoubtedly on the lower end of the Disney remakes, maybe even bottom 3. And there's a pretty good reason for that too. It's the exact same thing as the 1994 classic, but worse. The animation is impressive from a technical standpoint, but completely devoid of any expressiveness or energy. The voice acting sucks, the songs are significant downgrades from before, and there's no reason for it to exist in the first place if it's not going to do anything different from the original film. But of course, people saw it, and $1.6 billion later, Disney decided to make a follow-up with Mufasa the Lion King. And even though I was not looking forward to this film at all, there were two aspects of it that I had a slight amount of hope in. First, there's the concept of it being a prequel centered around Mufasa and how he became king, which isn't a bad idea on its own. Also, they got Oscar-winning director Barry Jenkins at the helm, so at least there's some talent going into the film. Oh yeah, and I guess I can't talk about this film without bringing up the somewhat recent death of Mufasa's original voice actor, James Earl Jones. It was definitely an unfortunate loss given how iconic he was in the role, so I'm at least glad this movie was able to pay tribute to him. Other than all that, yeah, I had zero faith in Mufasa being good, and I wish I could have been able to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3 before it, but it doesn't come out in Japanese theaters for another week, and I'd have to go to another US military base to see it, which I wasn't able to do because of school. So to fill the time, I got Mufasa over with first, and I guess it was slightly better than the first Lion King remake, but not by much as it's still a bad movie. Like I mentioned earlier, this serves as the origin story for Mufasa, where he starts out as an orphan separated from his family after a flood before meeting Taka, a lion cub whose father is the leader of a separate pride and resents Mufasa for his origin. From there, Mufasa and Taka would become like brothers to each other before their relationship is put to the test when they have to leave their home following an attack by the film's villain Kyros, laying the foundation for the paths they'd end up taking later in their lives. Again, not a bad idea for a movie, especially since it has a visionary Oscar-winning director bringing it to life. The problem, however, lies in its execution, as it's poorly written, tonally inconsistent, and bafflingly stupid in some of its storytelling choices. First, there's the problem with how it frequently cuts away from the main story to show goofy shenanigans from Timon and Pumbaa, killing any drama it may have had going for it, and generally not being funny at all. But also, we have the main story itself, which sadly isn't much better. Like, why did they have to make Mufasa and Taka brothers metaphorically instead of having them directly be related to each other? Was there really much of a reason to do that? Oh, and the reason Taka turned evil and ended up becoming Scar is because, get this, Sarabi got with Mufasa instead of him. I'm not kidding, his riz was so bad that he ended up betraying his own best friend over him getting a mate. And beyond all the stupid decisions, Mufasa is just boring. Story-wise, it's basically Revenge of the Sith or Transformers 1 without any of the intrigue or nuanced character development, and the 2-hour runtime can feel really apparent at some points. Also, since this is a Lion King movie, it's to be expected that it'd be a musical, and this time they brought on board Lin-Manuel Miranda to write the songs, which is why he wasn't able to do so for Moana 2. But how are the songs he wrote for Mufasa? Pretty whatever, honestly. I guess the score did an okay job reflecting the iconic themes of Hans Zimmer, but the songs are considerably lacking in the same memorability as the ones from Elton John and Tim Rice, and the singing is pretty weak, even if the performances were largely okay. And what about the animation? Especially considering how lifeless it was last time, where it sucked out all the expressiveness and dynamic body language in favor of overly detailed CGI abominations. Well, I guess this one is slightly more expressive, and there is some nice cinematography, but it mostly looks the same as before, so I don't know what else I could add. And since I don't know what else I can add, I'll sum this review up by saying that Mufasa the Lion King didn't need to exist, and the end result only further proves that. It may not have been as terrible as the first Lion King remake, but it still suffers from a boring script with asinine creative decisions, largely stagnant animation, and a forgettable soundtrack. If you're really curious, I'd say to wait for this to come out on Disney+. Otherwise, do yourself a favor and go watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3 instead. It's a great movie and far more worth your time than this 3 out of 10 snooze fest. Anyways, thanks for watching this episode of Isaac Reviews 2024, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you all later.